What is up, gamers? I hope you're ready because we've got the start, the very first match of the Super Mario Odyssey Triple Bingo Tournament tonight between Stravos96 and Aeroraiser. I'm Kerbis54, and commentating with me tonight is Awesome Agron.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing tonight?
Alright, yeah, I'm doing alright. I'm pretty psyched to watch some bingo.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this tournament. This is my forte right here. This is the competition that I've been looking forward to.
Dude, same.
So we've got the racers with us in the call right now, Stravos and Aeroraiser. How you guys doing?
Yo! Hey,
What's up?
it's me.
So I just want to ask both of you. I know Stravos, you're generally new to bingo. So how has your beginning experiences with bingo gone so far?
Yeah, terrible. Until recently, I've come up with a couple basic strategies that I can use that help me out a little bit.
Alright, that's good.
I'm probably gonna need to sit still for a bit in like Cascade or something, just to finalize my routing, that I don't make any mistakes. Because I've found I make way too many routing mistakes if I just try to route it on the fly if I don't know what I'm doing. So
For sure.
I just
I
need-
mean, like, yeah, you're just starting. I mean, like, that definitely takes time to do. A lot of beginners
yeah.
definitely sit in Cascade.
Yeah, definitely
And
one of the
I'll
biggest
be-
challenges of bingo is learning to play as you route.
I'll be messing up my movement a lot while I do that too if I'm too focused on routing. So like it's just
you're
it's a
fine.
win-win.
I
If
still do that, so
Yeah.
So
One of my highlights of gameplay is my movement. I come from like any percent and now world peace, and so
yeah, I was
like,
also going to ask, how much do you think your movement helps you out in bingo?
yeah. As long as I can get a good route figured out, it doesn't even have to be good. I just need to know what I'm doing early on, and that will allow me to keep my movement pretty solid, I feel like.
All right. So Aeroraiser, what is your experience with bingo generally?
that's the main thing I do now on Odyssey.
Okay. So
Yeah, I went from world peace to bingo, so
okay, so we've got someone who more prioritizes the normal category runs against maybe more of a bingo aficionado here tonight.
Okay,
Well-
so... Okay, so, like, really quick. Stravos, so, what exactly, would you say is, like, your level of knowledge with bingo? So far?
I technically
I'm assuming you
know
at least
where
looked at the
everything
cheat sheet,
is.
right?
Yeah, I technically know where everything is. It's just hard for me
That's
to pull everything from memory and know what meshes together well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
At least for
sure.
certain things. And definitely, like, how many things you can get by a certain kingdom is hard for me to remember, too.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
that's part of why I'm probably going to be standing still for like 2 minutes in Cascade.
No shame in doing that, man.
no, if you can get yourself a solid route doing that, that's always a good way to do it.
Yeah, you don't want to be midway through sand and be like, oh, I need to revisit Cascade.
I've done that. It sucks. I still do this.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's happened
It
before.
sucks.
It's definitely happened.
Mhm.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts from our runners before we go ahead and get started with our race here?
All I can say is good luck. Let's have a good race. I know
Hope I get
everyone in the
a-
chat. I know everyone in the chat's ready for this.
Hope I don't embarrass myself too much, and maybe I can get a chance to pull off Lake Clip. I don't know. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Some lake regionals would make that interesting, because, you can get a lot of them out of bounds.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right. Well, good luck, guys, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yep.
All right. So as our runners get prepared here, how you feeling about this, Agron?
I'm feeling pretty...
I think it'll be interesting because I don't know what Aeroraiser is capable of. I haven't done bingo with him myself, I don't think, and I know Stravos being so new, it'll be interesting to see how, like, maybe the more general bingo knowledge against the better general movement plays out.
Tell you what I'm thinking is gonna happen. It's gonna be knowledge versus execution.
Exactly.
Because, like, I mean, like, Era is good, but, like, Stravos is ridiculous. So,
Yeah, like everyone in this tournament is gonna have pretty good movement in this game. Like they've all played the game a lot, but Stravos is just
Absolutely.
one of those guys that's kind of on the next level.
yeah,
At
Stravos
the
is
top
just
of his
next
game.
level with pretty much near any % world record.
I mean, yeah, he's been a contender for any % record for quite a while now, and now recently with the World Peace Tournament, taking an interest in that, he's also been a world record contender in that category. So we're gonna get underway here, and
Alrighty.
as these runners, so this is triple bingo, and what that means is on this bingo board that we're gonna get, these runners have to complete any 3 rows, columns, or diagonals in order to win. You do not have to beat the game in bingo. Typically, the furthest you'll go in the game is up to either Snow or Seaside Kingdom in Odyssey Bingo.
Snow or Seaside is preferred.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So I've seen people go to both. I've gone to both on I think one occasion, but generally the goal is
I
to end
think
in either.
one board it was a good idea.
Yeah. So the runners don't know what the goals are until they start running. So they have to, as they're running through cap here, they're probably glancing over at the board during any downtime, as this bridge is spawning, really any downtime at all. They're going to be looking at this board, trying to figure out what the best 3 bingos to get would be.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
So as we go ahead and look at this board ourselves, is there anything to you that pops out, either good or bad, on this board?
Oh, let's see. Well, I haven't really taken a look at it yet, so let's see.
The first thing I always like to do is see what Seaside and Snow goals there are, and if you can avoid them, because sometimes finishing in an earlier kingdom is possible, and that can allow you to just finish your triple bingo quicker overall as well.
I think this is probably going to be a Snow or Seaside finish. I don't think I see a viable early.
Yeah, so I do see a couple Seaside goals. I see the other thing that you kind of want to look for is what is the center square of the bingo board, because any given square on the board is going to have like 2 or 3 lines that are associated with it. So like row 1, column 4, that 25 regional coins in Metro, that's part of 2 bingo lines. Something on the diagonals, like the 200 regional coins just below it, would be a part of 3 bingo lines. But the center square of the board is always going to be part of 4 bingo lines. So if that's a good goal, it can wind up routing around that single goal and getting a pretty good route.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty decent goal. 25 regionals in Lake. Yeah,
certainly.
That's not.
And then on the flip side, if it's a really bad goal, it can mess you up, because it can kind of take out 4 lines entirely that you kind of want to try to avoid. But yeah, this board having a pretty favorable center square. And as we see Stravos living up to what he said, he's just going to kind of stand here at the beginning of Cascade, signifying that he is scouring this board, trying to figure out what he wants to complete. And Arrow's going to go straight for some regional coins here. So there is I don't think there's a Cascade regional coin goal on this board, but there is a 200 total regional coin goal.
Yeah, it looks like he's grabbing these for total region.
For sure. So there are, in any given kingdom, there's either 50 or 100 total regional coins. So collecting 200 throughout the course means he's probably going to pick up just like a handful of regionals from each kingdom that he passes through in order to hit that 200 total. That's like one of the challenges of bingo, is keeping track of everything that you need to collect still. Because there's a lot of goals that span multiple kingdoms, such as like 3 timer challenges. Like there aren't really many kingdoms that have 3 timer challenges in one kingdom. So you have to kind of keep track as you go, finish 1 here, 2 here, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So Stravos' Mario is just going to start to take a snooze here pretty soon, as Arrow collects some more regionals, probably going to go up to Dino Skip here. And we should clarify that these runners came to a gentleman's agreement before the race started to not do first moon skip and to not use the Luigi hint arts that give 200 coins, because those are version exclusive things that, and these players are playing on different versions of the game.
Okay, I think I got this board. But
What are you thinking?
It's not really the best board. This is the best, but I'm thinking column 1, row 5, and column 4. That is what I am. This board is kind of maddening, to be honest.
And that's a route that would definitely utilize the overlap of regional coin goals very well.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of having to go to 100 moons, but if we're going to snow anyway, like honestly, there's a lot of really easy moons in each of the kingdoms that we can just pick up that are just in the way.
Yeah, so to get to Snow Kingdom, to leave Metro Kingdom, you need a minimum of 75 moons. So basically what that goal signifies is that you're going to have to collect 25 extra moons somewhere throughout your route.
Hold on. Slight change decision here.
So Stravos is off and running, and he is also collecting some purple coins in Cascade. So there might be some overlap between these two runners' routes.
Yeah, row 3 is also a decent option. I feel like...
I personally, I don't love 28 moons in Wooded as a goal.
No, I don't either, but if we're going
but
for
it does overlap with 100 moons. So if you're thinking of it in the context of getting both of those goals, then it can be pretty good.
But yeah, like I mean, like the main thing that I built this route around was the regional synergy. So
yeah, certainly. Because yeah, the thing that people need to learn quickly about bingo when they first start out is that there's not necessarily any goal from the random pool of goals that you can get that is bad. Like every goal is good or bad under certain circumstances. And the whole point of bingo is to try to find what overlaps with other things on the board in the best way possible.
Still, there are some goals that get a pretty bad rep in most situations.
Yeah, there are certainly some goals that are worse than others. Or I guess the way you could think of it is there are goals that are viable on a lower percentage of boards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a good way to put it, because like we said before, like, for the most part, most goals are viable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all goals are viable.
There have been a lot of changes to the bingo goals in Odyssey, and it used to be the case that there were a bunch of goals that really nobody went for. But we kind of took it upon ourselves to say, hey, nobody ever does these goals. Let's just get rid of them.
Back in the dark days of 32 Metro.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we've pretty much cleaned up the bingo goals pretty nicely at this point.
Or 1,500 coins.
Yeah. Getting a lot of yellow coins was rough on the old bingo goal list.
Especially if you weren't doing the coin hint arts, which
and at the time that those first existed, there weren't any Luigi coin hint arts because those have been released progressively over the course of this year.
That's true.
So when those goals were originally a thing, there weren't any Luigi hint arts.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that.
But at this point, if you were to like rebalance the bingo goals around having Luigi hint arts, then a goal like 1,500 yellow coins would be a little more viable. But at the same time, not everybody plays on version 1.2, which is the only version that has those Luigi hint arts. So I think we've kind of just collectively as a community decided to not have outrageous yellow coin goals.
Yeah, which is fair, because, you know, we're kind of split between one...
Yeah, for sure. These days, I think it's a pretty even split between the two versions.
It pretty much is, I feel. You know, like, I mean, like, at least with, like, top runners of the game. Obviously,
it tends to be that any percent runners play on 1.0, and then either newer runners or runners of primarily other categories play on 1.2.
Like us.
with any percent being the most popular category, it kind of balances out with like the runners of all the other categories plus like newer runners. So it's a pretty even split, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
So we kind of have to cater to both in something like this.
Makes sense.
So Arrow is going to be leaving Cascade.
Right.
Stravos, in this sub area, there's a goal for 4 moons from sub areas in Cascade, so we can pretty safely assume that that is a goal he's going for. And then on top of the 200 regional coins, that might suggest that he is going for row 2, but we'll have to wait and see for that.
Potentially, row 2 is not a bad option.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of decent rows on this board that people could be going for.
Yeah, the problem is that, like, they're all equally mediocre. Like, nothing stands out as super good on this board. This is like one of those boards that you can route in so many different ways, and you'll probably end up with the same time.
For sure. That's kind of like the ideal situation, right?
So this is a good board to, like, start out the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think the most fun boards are the ones where, you have 5 or 6 people competing on the same board, and they all wind up with a different route, and they're all, like, more or less equally viable.
Yeah. Though that, like, rarely happens, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not too often, but every now and then you just get that sparkle lightning. It's just like a magical board where everything works, and it's hard to route though when you have that situation, because you can't make up your mind between doing like one good thing or another.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Like sometimes the hard boards are the easier ones to route, 'cause you're just like, okay, this I know I need to avoid like these 2 or 3 things on this board, and then your route kind of just naturally forms from avoiding a couple things. But this is definitely
right.
Definitely the kind of board that we might not even know what these guys are going for goal-wise until 20-30 minutes in to the bingo. So Arrow also, like we kind of said, grabbing some regional coins and sand. He's just going to look to collect coins in really every kingdom that he passes through in order to reach that 200. And there even is a goal for 50 in sand, which is kind of steep, but certainly doable. Half the regionals in this kingdom.
So Stravos getting the first goal on the board.
Yeah, those sub-area moons in Cascade. And another thing that is really important to emphasize, I think, is that number of goals completed doesn't really correlate with who's winning.
No.
Really at all.
Not
because I guess it does depend on the board that you have. Like, if it's a board that has a lot of goals that are focused within one kingdom, then having more goals could mean that you're actually ahead. But if you have a board that has stuff like 6 timer challenges, 5 music note moons, 100 moons total, like a lot of goals like that where you have to go to multiple kingdoms to complete them, sometimes you don't wind up completing the majority of your goals until the very last kingdom you visit. So It could look like you're really far behind, and then all of a sudden within a couple minutes you mark 5-6 goals just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, just like the bingo in this game, there's like a lot of goals that you just need to keep track of throughout the bingo itself. Like goals like 200 total regionals, like that'll be something that the runners will be working on throughout the whole music note moons, 8-bit moons, stickers, like honestly any goal that you can accumulate over time.
Sure. So I will say that this is an incredibly heavy regional point heavy board.
Yeah.
So if I were running this, that's probably what I would try to route around, which sounds like you kind of did with the route that you gave earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like, I tried.
It's to the point. It's to the point where there's even like multiple regional coin-based goals that could work. which is
And
kind of
sub
crazy.
areas might also have an influence on this board as well.
Yeah, because there's a total sub area goal.
Yeah, and you have a little bit of synergy with going for the Cascade ones.
Right.
A little bit. It's not the best synergy because you're staying longer in Cascade, but
You
could
even
work.
have multiple Captain Toad goals on this board.
You do.
With the cap one and collecting 3 total. So
Mhm.
this board's kind of heavily focused on just a couple things, whereas some boards you get and it's like there's no more than like 2 individual goals that really match up with each other. Those are the ones that can become really rough to route.
Yeah. Yeah, one goal in particular that always kind of bothered me was 2 moons from Hint Art. I don't hate the goal, but I've only seen one scenario where it's a good goal.
Right. Yeah, it
a bit
can
of a
be an
weird
interesting one because Hint Art moons in Bingo they require backtracks. So, for instance, you can look at a Hint Art in Lake Kingdom that will give you a moon in Cascade Kingdom. But since Lake is after Cascade, that means you have to look at the Hint Art when you're in Lake, and then you have to travel back to Cascade just to get that one moon.
Right, but that will only work if you need to go back to Cascade anyway.
Right,
Which
like there are certain there are actually a few situations where going back to Cascade is required, such as 3 Shiny Rock moons. There are only
3 Shiny Rocks is the big one.
Yeah, there's only 3 accessible in Bingo. There's 2 in Wooded and 1 in Cascade. But the Cascade one is only available upon revisit because it sits underneath where the Odyssey originally is sitting.
Right.
So you have to go back for it. So if you can kind of rack up a route that gives you like 2 or 3 good reasons to make backtracks, then it becomes really worth it to go for stuff like those Hint Art goals.
Yeah.
But even depending on the circumstance, going back just for one thing in Cascade or just for one thing in Cap can still be viable, because if it allows you to skip going to another kingdom entirely, it's kind of just like you're replacing one kingdom visit with a backtrack.
Yeah,
So
definitely, for
it
sure.
can also work out in that situation.
And then, you know, there's also the fast backtrack scenario. Like, a good example on this board would be the Toad and Cap. Cap Toad's pretty quick.
Yeah.
So you can just warp to the top, get him, warp back, done.
Unless you forgot the checkpoint flag.
Don't do that.
If you're playing Bingo, your one goal when you're starting out your race is grab that checkpoint flag at the top of Top Hat Tower, because you never know when you're going to need it. Generally, by the time you get to that point,
And there's pretty much no reason not to grab it.
Right, it's a very
like,
slight
it takes
time
2
loss.
seconds, not even.
Yeah. So like, I know for me personally, oftentimes Cap, I haven't even looked at every goal that's on the board at that point when I get to that checkpoint
exactly.
flag. So it's a good idea just to grab it just in case you need it. Because, you know, it's that trade-off of a second compared to, you know, potentially wasting multiple minutes having to climb the tower again on a revisit back to Cap to get, you know, Captain Toad at the top, or just having to do something slower in another kingdom because you didn't grab the checkpoint flag.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Like, the other bring up is I kind of forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well.
Well, we see Stravos going into
I'm sure
sub-areas
it'll come back.
band as well, so he might be looking to work with that overlap of 16 moons from sub areas total to match up with the 4 that he got in Cascade.
I think Stravos is just making sure that he has everything before he leaves. I think. Yeah, it looks like he forgot some.
So this is a board where, you know, we're almost 20 minutes in here, and there's only been 1 goal marked. So definitely the kind of board that, kind of like we were talking earlier, we might not see a lot of goals marked until a bit later on.
Yeah, some boards are like that.
Especially like with being a regional coin heavy board. Those are like some of the biggest perpetrators of that. So just making sure, or like having to keep track across multiple kingdoms and not finishing the goal until much later, till basically the very end. A lot of times, especially with 200 regional.
Oh, right. Okay. Let's see here. I remember what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so like what I wanted to talk about is with routes. You can have a good route, but if you don't execute it correctly, or you know, like have poor movement everywhere, then is it really a good route? No, because you. So like the routing and the execution have to go hand.
For sure,
Bingo.
and just as important as like your execution is like your general execution is knowing your execution of things that you're used to doing compared to things that you're not used to doing. So if there's like a bunch of sub areas that you don't really know how to do, or like you might not even know where the second moon in the sub area is, it's probably a good idea to not go for it. Because you're gonna waste a lot of time just trying to find where the moon is, even if your general movement is good. Which is why bingo requires a really different skill set compared to normal speed runs of the game, because a lot of this stuff in bingo that is viable, that you need to do for goals, like a good chunk of it doesn't get done in either the any percent or the world peace speed runs, which are the most popular categories. That are the short categories. There's a lot of stuff in bingo that you just don't see.
Yeah, definitely longer category runners have the sheer advantage here with bingo, just by default.
And then the flip side of that is sometimes you get people who have run longer categories like Darker Side, who they know where a lot of stuff is, but they might not necessarily know when it's available. Because a lot of stuff in this game, like after you complete a story moon, more moons will become available. So for just Cascade, for instance, once you beat Mama Brood, there are only 2 or 3 moons available before that fight, and then there's like close to 20 available once you beat that fight. So just stuff like that.
19 available in Cascade on the first visit.
So just like every story moon, almost every story moon essentially unlocks more moons for you to collect. So knowing when each moon is available is just as important as knowing like where all the moons are.
So Arrow is deciding to go to Cap.
Yeah, so he might be going for the Captain Toad. He's probably also going to collect some regionals while he's here, because there's a bunch of pretty fast ones in Cap Kingdom.
Yeah, you can pretty much collect about 30 just really fast regionals, which can help easily towards the total goal.
For sure. And it's also worth noting that we said that you should grab that checkpoint flag in Cap when you're here on the first visit. That is really the only thing you can do in Cap when you're here originally. There are no regional coins available until you come back on a revisit.
Not quite. You can also grab the life up part in top that tower.
That's true. But yeah, even that checkpoint flag in the middle of the town there, right next to the shop, that isn't even available on the first visit. So yeah, the life up part and the checkpoint flag are really the only things you can do in Cap on first visit. Which is why it's so important to grab that checkpoint flag, because if you need to come back, it gives you access to the entire area.
Meanwhile, Stravos is in the pyramid. I'm trying to figure out why.
Let's see. He could be going for regionals. Because I mean, you kind of have to go all the way to World Peace to unlock a lot of regionals in Sand. So
right.
For 50
I guess
regionals,
you could do that.
He might not know where. Like, there's also 3 here, and there's also 3 on top of the pyramid here once he gets outside. So he might even be going just for these 6 regionals. Outside of that, I don't know that there's anything.
I don't see a reason for him to be in the pyramid right now.
There's also 22 moons in Sand, so he might just be going here for some extra moons.
Maybe.
But outside of that, there isn't too much.
But that's only 6 extra from any percent, so like that's not too many more moons.
Certainly wouldn't necessarily be optimal to go into the pyramid for those 6 extra moons, but with him being someone who's more familiar with just any percent world peace, he might not.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just doing what's comfortable. Like honestly, that might just be all it is. Like that's just what he's comfortable with.
So Aero also getting some sub areas in cap. While he's here, I would guess that means he's going for the 16 sub area goal. There's not too much more of a reason to.
Oh, and that is why the sub area isn't very fun.
Thankfully, he was able to
He
land
did
on
save
flat
it.
ground there.
That
Saves
was-
a little bit of time compared to a death, but it's certainly going to hurt him a little bit either way.
Yeah.
And
Push
Stravos
block
does,
peril is like one of those sub areas where it's fast, but if you mess it up, like yeah, you're gonna get punished.
it throws
hard.
the entire cycle off, and just like you have to improv the rest of the room.
Yeah, you just have to kind of not screw up.
Stravos marked the 22 moves in sand, so I think he kind of did just go into the pyramid for those
I
extra moves.
Yes, that's what it was.
So he's got 2 goals on the board now. Arrow's still with none, but he's making good progress as far as getting these sub area moons. And I don't know if he got Captain Toad yet, or if he's about to do that.
I think, dude.
He did.
I think.
Okay, he just got a. He's getting this timer challenge here, which gives him his 3rd.
If he didn't, I don't know why he dropped down. I guess it's possible that maybe he just like forgot in the.
He could also just not
Moment.
be going for it. He may have come back to cap just for like regionals and sub areas, which is perfectly viable, I would say, on this board.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're not going for the Captain Toads. Looks like maybe going to
I guess no Captain Toad.
buy a moon.
Meanwhile, Stravos is in late.
Not entirely sure what purchasing a moon there did for Aeroraiser.
I haven't really figured out the routes of either player yet.
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected with what we said about this board having so many viable options. It might not even be until they get to like around Metro Kingdom that we even know.
Yeah, exactly. Like
What they're going
45 minutes in. Oh, there's the route.
So now, taking a trip to Cascade for Aeroraiser.
Cascade revisit. Potentially he forgot something?
Yeah, sometimes this is a calculated move to come back to Cascade later, but I can't. He might need the timer challenge, honestly.
Yeah, he might have forgotten the timer.
Or just regionals.
Just
The sub area,
a
maybe.
sub area.
So there is like a pretty good. There's a pretty good abundance of sub areas in almost every kingdom. But it just depends on like what your knowledge is of each individual kingdom. Like Wooded
Yeah,
has a bunch of sub areas, but they're all kind of like not hidden, but they're not really out in plain sight either. So if you don't really have a predetermined plan of which sub areas to get in Wooded, you might kind of find yourself walking around aimlessly trying to find them. Whereas, you know, the ones in Cascade you might be more familiar with, so possibly just looking to knock out some ones that he knows a little better earlier.
Sure. Yeah, I guess we can go with that logic.
Because sometimes you might miscalculate, because you might be thinking in your head when you come up with your route, like, yeah, okay, I need 16 sub-area moons, so I'm going to get 4 here, 6 here, and 4 here. But you might have forgot that, like, oh, I can't actually do the sub-area for whatever reason, so I'm just going to pop back into Cascade to get one that I missed that I didn't think I needed before. Something along those lines. So as far as the Lake Kingdom goes, we have 2 regional coin goals for Lake Kingdom. One of them being that great center square. So, I personally, I would probably be trying to route those into my route, and it looks like Stravos is. He at least got the 10.
Yeah, potentially the TLBR could be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I said, that 100 moons total, not very nice, but, you know, like I said before, if we're going to snow/seaside, there are plenty of moons that we can get along the way that are literally just right there.
Plus, he did get 6 extra in Sand Kingdom already, so He's up to, just from leaving Metro,
That's
he's
a
up
very good
to
start
at,
towards that.
yeah, at minimum, he's at like 81 wins that he'll be collecting. So he'll just have to work in another 19 extra somewhere in his route.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like this is just a sub-area revisit for Aeroraiser.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sometimes the other thing that is possible is people at times change their route after they've already started. So he might have noticed a row or column that is better than one he was originally going to go for, but it required him
True,
to get
because
some extra
you didn't
sub areas.
initially get the sub areas here.
Right.
So maybe he just changed his mind midway through sand, like I was saying before.
Right. Which personally, I don't ever recommend that. I say once you have a route and once you're like out of Cascade, for the most part, I say just stick with it.
Yeah, just commit to it. I mean, like, unless if you know that it is 100% horrendous and you found something like super good.
So
but
a
usually,
strat you see Aeroraiser going for here with these chain chomps is kind of jumping out to the second one and hitting his spot from there. That's actually slower than using the chain chomp on the ground, but it can be easier to line it up because you only have to aim to hit like one cool shot as opposed to two.
I mean, yeah, that's personally a strat that I use because I find that sub area kind of infuriating.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not too much slower, so it's just the kind of thing that if you're much more comfortable doing it that way, it's going to wind up being faster on average for you.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't even know how much slower it is.
So Stravos is going for a lot of extra moons in Lake Kingdom as well, which probably
good idea.
means...
Lake Kingdom is honestly probably the one kingdom that I would say if you need extra moons, this is the kingdom to get them in.
Lake Kingdom, and another really good one is Lost Kingdom. Just because
Lake and Lost
they're small. They're like, I think, two of the smallest kingdoms in the game. Like outside of the like Cloud and Ruin, like ones with like actually full-fledged kingdoms. I think they're the two smallest. Also Cap, but Cap is there's less moons in Cap in the early game. A lot of Cap's moons come from Rock post game. So generally Lake and Lost are your best bet. They each have a bit over 20 moons that you can collect, and they're very small and condensed, so it's easy to get from moon to moon. So yeah, if you're looking to get...
Cascade is decent as well on the revisit, because you also get the shiny rock in the shop, which are both really fast.
Cascade is pretty good. It's slightly bigger, so like there's like about the same number of moons total. It just takes a little bit longer to get in between from moon to moon, and Cascade has more sub areas, so just more load times and stuff. So yeah, generally Lake and Lost are your best bet if you need a lot of extra moons that don't overlap with anything else. So we just saw a slew of goals get marked right there. So Stravos marking his 25 in Lake, 1 moon from a key, which he just got in that sub area that you just saw. And then Aeroraiser marked 4 moons in Cascade, the sub area moons. So we're seeing some action on the bingo board now. Maybe particularly Stravos, his route may be starting to formulate for us.
Sorry about that. I just decided to reconnect because you were cutting out a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was on my end or your end. Who knows? It's okay.
Either way, Stravos on his way to Wooded Kingdom. I didn't see exactly how many extra moons he got in Lake, but he did get a good little chunk of extra ones, so...
honestly, I could see row 3, column 2, TLB. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Row 3, column 2, TLDR. Yeah, that we'll find out real quickly here if he winds up getting extra moons in Wooded, which it would be a smart move because getting like enough extra moons in Wooded would put him really close to the 100 total as well.
Yeah.
So it would not surprise me at all to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, that seems like a very good option.
And that would also, he seems to be going for regionals as well, which would put him towards that 50 regional points.
Look at 2 hint arts.
And he's looked at the second hint art now, so yeah, it does look like that probably is going to be Stravos' route. the column 2, row 3, and top left, bottom right.
Arrow is still a mystery, though.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm
And
not
I've got-
100% sure on Arrow's route here.
Well, like I said, but usually by the time you get to Metro, you have a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
in any
definitely.
situation of what people are going for.
Yeah, about 45 minutes in, usually.
A lot of times,
You'll know the route.
Yeah. A lot of times, Wooded Kingdom has a lot going on in Bingo. I think Sand and Wooded have the highest potential for just having a lot of stuff you
Ooh.
need to complete.
That's a
Bingo.
little bit unfortunate. Arrow accidentally hitting that P-switch.
A little forced cutscene.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of annoying time loss. It's nothing too crazy,
So
but it's
Stravos,
just really annoying when it happens.
Stravos buying the outfit here. We're not sure. Maybe it's just for swag. He wants to look cool for the viewers, or maybe he's going to get the moon in deep woods that requires this outfit.
It is.
Oh, the outfit door in
100%
Wooded
for
is a
that.
goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I didn't notice that until now. Yeah, that certainly solidifies that he's probably going for row 3.
Yeah, this pretty much confirms row 3. I'd be surprised if he wasn't going for TLDR.
Row
but
3
we
is
could
a
see
crazy.
different third line.
Yeah, possibly. Because I don't think he's gotten any Captain Toads yet, unless he got the one in Lake that I missed,
Yeah.
which he might have. But yeah, row 3 is kind of crazy because it's almost entirely a wooded-based row.
Mhm.
So you have 3 purely wooded goals, and then the hint art that he checked. Like wooded hint art is generally one of the optimal ones to look at if you need to complete a hint art goal, because it's right near the start there, and also right around some regional points.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'll be interesting to see which 28 moons in wooded he collects as well, because it's only 16 required to leave the kingdom.
Stravos opting for a very interesting idea through Wooded right now. Decides to go for over the cliff's edge,
Yeah,
which, you know, takes him into that pipe.
not the fastest
Interesting.
moon, but it could, again, just a familiarity thing. Because he does have to get
Potentially.
12 extra moons in wooded, and looks like he's going for the clip here.
He's going for that nut clip.
Yeah, so grabbing this rock wall moon is just going to be another quick one.
Totally expected, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Just this is the any percent knowledge coming out, and then he'll probably just clip back in towards the gate, or he's going to go up top. Oh, he'll probably get the nut up here in these regionals. Yeah.
Now, going back to knowledge, if that 28 moons will become a problem for him.
Yeah, it very much could, because like I said,
Because that's
it's
12 extra moons.
Yep. Which
That
he's
could
gotten-
be problematic.
He's gotten a couple extra compared to like his normal 90% route already. So, but we'll see if he knows where, the 10 or so extra ones are from here.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, the regional points. In wooded, like they're pretty abundant without having to do too much story-related stuff.
Yeah, Wooded is probably one of the easier kingdoms to collect, like, the max amount of regionals.
Right.
I mean, when I say that, I mean, like, the max amount that a goal would give you.
Right, which I believe is 60.
60 is the...
And he's already at 39 here, so well on his way to the 50 that is required on this board.
Speaking of which, I remember the extremely dark days when 70 sand was a thing.
Yeah, that was another really rough goal. that
was
more or less
horrible.
required you to complete story moons to get that many regionals in sand, which...
Actually, I'm pretty sure you could do it without any story progression, but it would pretty much require every...
Right, every available one possible, which in
regional.
sand, there's a lot of regional points in sub-areas, which if you don't need the sub-areas for a goal of their own, that can be pretty slow
Yeah.
to get those coins.
Yeah, like I said before, I think you can get a total of, like, regionals without... Yeah, that sounds
So-
right, because there's 6 in Pyramid, and 4 in that sub-area that's post-peace, and then the 4 that are frozen in the fountain, and then 4 that are frozen in the oasis.
Right.
That's down.
So
Oh
we're,
wait, the underground too. Never mind. 76.
we're getting a little glimpse here into Aeroraiser's route now, as he got his 3rd Captain Toad moon in Lake Kingdom. So it looks like he also is probably going for that top left to bottom right diagonal. And Stravos finishing his 150 total regionals as well as the 15 wooded. So there you see the overlap coming into play, really helping him out.
I'm surprised he opted to finish that so early when he has to go to Seaside.
Yeah. I mean, he did. It was required to get this many wooded, but probably could have skimped out on some of the Cascade ones, because I think he got 40 or so in Cascade. Probably not entirely necessary.
Yeah, he definitely did not need that many Cascade regionals. Might just anything again. Honestly, not sure.
And Stravos looking like he's at least mildly familiar with the deep woods here, which is a pretty big thing. Like, a lot of people, if you've never done the deep woods in a speedrun, it's very easy to get disoriented and lost down here. And he's not going to be able to get that ground pound until he moves the dinosaur out of the way. That dino loves getting in the way.
A frustrating kink.
On top of these ground pound hitboxes not being the best. So yeah, just like, you can very easily get disoriented in the deep woods if you don't have a good sense of where everything is. But it looks like he doesn't have the greatest execution down here, but he at least knows where stuff is, which can go a long way.
And that's honestly what's most important right now for him.
For sure.
Aero is currently trying to plan out what he's doing in Wooded.
So he also grabbed that hint art or checked off the goal. He's gonna look at the hint art here. So possibly we might even have 2 rows of overlap on this board between these runners, which is interesting because as we said, there's so many viable options. If they wind up going for a very similar route, could be interesting. Stravos still running around deep woods here. Not sure what he's looking for. He might be looking for the nut to get planted in order to be able to leave. But he runs right by it. Looking for the timer challenge. So yeah, that's just a good example of kind of getting a little lost in the deep woods. There's no compass down here. There's no map. You can't really see what you're doing. You can't even warp out of here. So if you get really lost, you got to find that seed and plant it. Get out.
Well, there is the assist mode warp.
Well, yeah. We're not going to talk about that.
No.
We don't like assist mode around these parts. All right, but he finds the outfit door, which clears off that goal for him.
Funny stuff.
So Stravos sitting at 16 moons now, so he now needs 12 more moons in order to finish the last goal in row 3. Gonna go for passive peculiar pipes here. We'll see if he knows the technique. This is not random. It seems random at first, but as Mario walks past these pipes, he will turn his head towards the one that is correct.
Yeah, it looks like he knows the trick.
Yeah. So you can
Something
notice
that personally irritates me with this moon is sometimes it, sometimes, at least for me, I feel like it's sometimes kind of hard to, see where Mario is turning his head.
Yeah, it definitely is. Especially on the last one with the 5 pipes, it can be kind of tricky. It kind of looks like he's turning his head sometimes, but he's not actually, so you can kind of get baited into picking the wrong pipe.
Yeah, it's definitely happened to me before.
For the most part, if you take it slow, really focus on it, you can get that without too much trouble.
But personally, I don't think I've ever done that moon in a bingo before.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think I have either.
That's something.
I think it is the slowest moon in the deep woods out of everything that's down there.
Besides a treasure made from coins, but yeah.
Yeah, true. That's more so just the fact that you have to collect 500 coins to be able to do that moon, though.
Yeah,
The
I
moon
mean...
itself being terribly slow, because you can you can plant or you can spit all the coins necessary and then go do something else.
Oh
while-
yeah, definitely for like, but like just in general, like the whole process of that moon is just a drag.
Yeah, for sure. Generally, when I go into the deep woods, I like to get all of them except for those 2 moons and the outfit door, unless I need the outfit door for a goal, like happened on this board.
Actually, you know what? I think I finally figured out why Stravos is getting a bunch of goals done early. His plan is to just blitz any percent for the remaining kingdoms. Smart.
Yeah, that honestly, yeah, that's a good strategy.
Honestly, that's probably his best bet.
It looks like the only thing he'll have to do to deviate from that is get Captain Toad in either Lost Metro.
Probably Metro.
Yeah, either Lost or Metro, either one. But
I mean,
it looks like he does. It looks like he actually doesn't have to go to Snow or Seaside, as long as he gets all 100 moons that he needs.
Kerbis, the Fountains, and Column 2.
Oh, true. Okay, never mind. I'm blind.
I mean, to be honest, that's not gonna take that long anyway. Minute and a half is in Seaside, done.
Well, honestly, I would say probably going for the Captain Toad in Seaside would be best then, because there is one right next to one of the fountains.
There is, actually.
So what I would do there is I would get the Stone Pillar seal, the Lighthouse seal, and then take a Gushin over to Captain Toad and get the...
Or
that
you can do Stone Pillar, and then take the Gushin to Captain Toad from there, and then get the Canyon Fountain.
Yeah.
Both are good options. What has gone over me tonight? I have no...
So it'll be interesting to see what Stravos' moon count is when he dumps his moons in Wooded. I haven't been keeping track of them particularly, but we'll be able to tell real quickly. It'll show us how many moons total he has.
Well, based off of what he's done, he's probably pretty...
Yeah, I would imagine he's
to
pretty
the
close.
100, you know, any percent stuff, of course.
For sure. So another thing that you might notice, like, there are some goals on this board that overlap. Like, Stravos got 25
And now he's getting
regionals in
12
Lake.
in Wooded.
He got 25 regionals
So add
in
that
Lake.
all up, and I think he's pretty much at the 100.
Yeah. Stravos got 25 regionals in Lake as well as 50 regionals in Wooded, and you can mark those goals, which also technically means he got 10 regionals in Lake and 30 regionals in Wooded. But you don't see him marking those goals just because they're not part of the route he's actually trying to complete. They're just kind of stray goals that he happened to finish
Yeah.
while he was...
Now that's also another...
So sometimes you see people not mark stuff. Like, I don't mark stuff that I don't actually need in my route because it just confuses me. And sometimes it makes me think that I need to do things that I don't actually have to do. So I tend to... I laser focus on the goals that I actually need to complete to finish my
Yeah,
triple
I
bingo
pretty
route.
much never mark... It's just not necessary in this type of format.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's not that much mind games that you can play with your opponent in this type of format.
Right. And it's... Yeah, what your opponent does is largely irrelevant in triple bingo. That's more a thing that comes into play during, like, a lockout bingo. Oh, and Stravos maybe not realizing that that checkpoint goes away after you fight Spewart. Looks like you wanted to warp
that's
there.
definitely a mistake that I've made before.
And that's another kind of thing, just like kind of bingo specific knowledge. Like we said, sometimes moons get added once you complete story missions, but sometimes stuff like moons and checkpoints go away temporarily after completing certain story moons.
I think the only kingdoms that are affected by checkpoint removal are Wooded and Luncheon.
Yeah, that sounds correct. And then
think
the
those
other
are the
thing
ones-
is, in Sand
those are the
Kingdom,
things.
there's the Koopa Trace Walking Moon, which if you beat Harriet, that moon goes away in Nighttime Sand, and then it comes back once you beat Nutbotech. So I had an instance where I had to complete Koopa Trace Walking for a goal, and I tried to do it after Harriet, and I had to change my entire route because the moon went away, so I
Yeah.
couldn't do it.
I Yeah, most bingo players have done so.
Yeah, so that's all part of the bingo learning curve. Knowing where everything
just gotta-
is, knowing when it's there, knowing when it's not.
Yeah. Like another thing with like learning bingo, like the bingo mentality is if you see a goal that you've never, like gone for before, and you're obviously not in a tournament, like just go for the goal, see how it goes, and then you can learn from your mistakes.
For
That's
sure.
pretty much all you can do.
Yep.
To practice with bingo.
Yeah,
Because there's like so many goals.
And like we said, everything is technically viable under certain circumstances. So the more familiar you become with the goals that you might be scared of because you don't have the knowledge for it, if you just jump in and try those goals during practice, and you wind up figuring things out about them that you would otherwise wouldn't have known.
Mhm. And yeah, the best thing that you can do to get better, like, like play many boards. I mean, like something else that I find sometimes is just sit there and, just go on bingo sync and then just go run to something. I don't know, I personally enjoy routing bingo board.
Yeah. So Stravos here, making his way. As we said, he more or less just needs to go through the motions here, to do the any % routes in a couple kingdoms until he gets to Seaside, and then he can clean up and finish this board.
And I think that was kind of his idea.
Yeah.
He's, like unfamiliar with some bingo territory still. So
Yeah,
that's
it
actually a
might be-
really smart plan.
It might be the case where he has done a bunch of practice where he's more familiar with the early kingdoms for bingo scenarios now, so like Cascade and Wooded and Lake. He might just be more familiar with those kingdoms, and maybe less so for Metro and Lost and Seaside.
Yeah, potentially.
Because I know he did only start doing bingo to prep for this tournament. He's only gotten a handful of rounds in up to this point. So potentially something that you'll see him improve on as we go through this tournament. If he continues, if he advances out of this round and continues to advance further, you might just see him
Improve.
just see the learning curve live play out. So Aeroraiser looking to probably complete some more sub areas for that 16 goal, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little uncertain still what Era is doing. Potentially,
Yeah, outside of that
I think I've come up. He might be doing row 5 instead of column 2, and that would be the only difference between their two routes.
Yeah, definitely possible. Which would mean he's taking a snow visit rather than a seaside visit. Which 2 barrier moons, I think 2 barrier moons and 3 cork fountains they're pretty similar as far as
the
time it takes to complete them.
Yeah.
So Stravos electing to get the Captain Toad in Lost Kingdom here. I would say probably not the entirely optimal play, but
I read that as a 2.
he might have only had 1 Captain Toad up to this point. So he might need Lost and another one. And then from here, he'll just look to... Now, did he re-trigger Klepto?
Yes? I want to say yes.
I hope for his sake that he did. Because after you warp, you do have to re-trigger him or he will capture. Oh, he did not. That is a brutal mistake on Stravos' part. So what happened was he went and got Captain Toad and he warps back up to the checkpoint flag that he grabbed, but didn't realize that he had to re-trigger that Klepto fight so that he wouldn't get his hat stolen.
It's okay.
Yeah, this is about a 45-second
mistake.
loss here. So no, it's not he could still finish with a pretty decent time here. It's
Yeah.
not run ending by any means, or like
It's definitely not the end of the world. Not
Right.
even close. Like
it's definitely the
40
kind of thing that will
seconds
just
into-
yeah, it'll just tilt you more than anything. Not a fun mistake to deal with.
Because, like, honestly, in bingo, the mistakes that you're gonna be making are more along the lines of, like, routing or maybe, like, dying in a sub-area or something.
Yeah, it kind of just shifts your mentality to almost a panic mode because you're like, oh crap, now I got to do this, and then once you get Cappy back, you're like, okay, what did I miss? What do I still need to do in this kingdom?
Definitely.
It just takes away your entire focus from what you were thinking about. Although thankfully at this point, with Stravos having the strong majority of his goals completed, he doesn't have too much more to juggle in his mind. Keep track
Yeah,
of.
all Stravos pretty much has to do at this point is just rush any percent.
Yeah.
Just rush Metro. Like, there's not really gonna be too much else to it. Like, we're literally gonna see any percent Metro. It's gonna take like 8 minutes, and yeah, that's about it.
So I think Aeroraiser also getting close to his 28 moons in Wooded Kingdom. 4 left to go. He'll have 2 left to go after this sub area.
I haven't really been keeping track on his sub area count.
Yeah, I know I think he got all 6 in Cascade.
Yeah, he did.
And then
Did he get any insane?
I'm not too sure.
Because Bullet Bill Maze and Moai Maze are both super quick.
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
Like, honestly, like, those are probably the most reliable sub-areas next to, like, any percent room in Metro, the crowd room.
Yeah. The ones in Cascade are halfway decent as well, but generally you don't want to do those because you don't want to get extra moons. But in the case of this board, since both of these guys are going for a route where they need 100 moons, getting those sub areas in Cascade was a pretty good idea. It looks like Aeroraiser, not knowing where this where this moon is, kind of a little unfamiliar with this room, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe.
And
We definitely won't be seeing Zintar strats today in this room.
Yeah. Okay, he did get all the shards. He was just looking for that nut moon. So that's 2 more moons required for Aeroraiser. Trying to make a decision on where he can find the 2 fastest ones. As Stravos climbs the New Dunk City Hall.
And I feel like the other thing to point out with high moon goals in bingo is it helps to run a lot of different categories because that gives you a base idea for routes that you can pull off in bingo.
Right, exactly.
Like, you can't necessarily replicate the route that you do in that
Like, what you might say, for
here.
instance,
and this
is...
spoon's here. Let's just string it together in a flow and make my own route with it.
Yeah, like, what you might think, the kind of thought process that might go into it is if you have a goal to, for instance, get World Peace in Sand, then you also have a goal to get 4 sub-area moons in Sand, you would kind of think of the baseline World Peace route, and then you would take out 4 moons that are normally in that route and replace them with the 4 sub-area moons to create kind of like the optimal Frankenstein route to complete both of those goals.
Right.
That's at least the way I think about it a lot of times. Is normally I'm basing it off an any percent route for the kingdom, but if there's a certain goal like getting world peace or just like there are other things that can impact it, I kind of just shift it from there to cater to whatever I need to accomplish.
I want to say that Deepwood's entrance was on purpose for Mary. Yes, it was.
A scary wiggler. Yeah, Stravos is gonna 3-cycle this, or no, he's gonna 2-cycle it. He sniped all those shots. I thought he missed the last one. That was actually insane from Stravos. That was not. It wasn't the craziest wiggler pattern, but he missed a lot of the shots. Like the shots didn't overlap the way he necessarily wanted them to while the wiggler was running around. So he really had to nail all those shots after the wiggler stopped in order to get the pull off in time.
Yeah, my worst fear in this tournament is that come down to a 2-cycle wiggler versus a 3-cycle wiggler.
Yeah, I mean it's only 20 seconds, but that
Like,
that can be
so
different.
hard.
There's been a number of bingos that I've done where people have finished within 5-10 seconds of each other. So like something like a 3-cycle Wiggler can still matter in Bingo.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously every time loss can still matter, but, like, definitely the 3-cycle in particular, because
Yeah.
it's just, like, something that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, at least as a higher level runner of the game, you hate to see it. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure how many Captain Toad Moons Stravos has at this point. He might he could only have the one in Lost. I know Aeroraiser elected to get all of his early, but Stravos might be looking to get all of his later. So we know he has at least the one in Lost Kingdom. Beyond that, I'm not too sure. I know he didn't go back to Cap.
Didn't Stravos get the one in Cascade?
I'm not too sure. He might have.
I want to say he did, because I remember him going back into the Dino after, like, thinking about it.
And you see Aeroraiser kind of catching up on the total goals, finishing up his stuff in Wooded Kingdom. So they both have row 3 completed.
Yeah, Wooded was definitely pretty big on this board.
For sure.
Hi. Oh.
I mean, you know, like, at least with the routes that we're seeing from both players.
So unfortunately, I don't know how many sub-area moons Aeroraiser is at, but outside of that, we can say that he probably just has a small handful of regionals to collect still. And then he's probably also pretty close to that moon total, because he got the... or you know what? He didn't get the 22 in sand.
Which is probably why he collected even more here.
But that means he might not be going...
34.
That means he either made a mistake or he's not going for row 5. Which I think more likely it's that he made a mistake. Unless he just forgot to mark the goal, but I don't...
Well, what row could he potentially still be doing? You know what? He could still be doing column 4.
It could be column 4, yeah.
Actually, you know what? I think it's column 4. Like, that's the thing that makes the most sense. Because you got the 200 total regionals, the 25 regionals for Metro, and the one...
And that route actually does mean that he doesn't have to go to Snow or Seaside, correct?
Actually, that route's pretty... Wow. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, just that's taking advantage of just like a different kind of regional point overlap than Stravos did, or than either of us, I think, would have done. Okay,
I want to say that's the best strat on this board, then.
Could be. Just that's like another hard thing to evaluate, because
definitely
with there being so many options. But yeah, Stravos got that Captain Toad Moon.
It probably isn't that great, since, you know, you're still finishing in Metro with 100 moons, like...
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure going to Snow for 2 barrier moons or for Seaside with 3 fountains really wouldn't be that big of a time difference.
Probably not. Yeah, definitely the kind of board where an early finish isn't necessarily...
Unless... Unless if Arrow intentionally collected extra early game.
Okay, so Stravos...
Which could be a possibility, or a Night Metro finish.
Stravos does have his 100 moon total.
Oh my.
And he does have his 3 Captain Toads finished, so Stravos is... he's quickly approaching finishing this board. He just needs to go to Seaside. And
yeah, Stravos is
3 fountains.
Yeah, Stravos is gonna finish, but I think Arrow's sneaked up here and won't be too far behind, because I think he's aiming for a Night Metro finish.
Yeah, definitely.
I 100% didn't see.
A good instance of how many goals you have marked not really being a good indicator of how far ahead or behind you are, because it looked like Aeroraiser was quite a bit behind, like by a good chunk for a while there, but then he finished Wooded, he marked a bunch of goals off, he's now, you know, within a handful of goals of finishing himself. But I do think he's still going to come up a little bit shorter. Stravos is on his way to Seaside now, and uncorking 3 fountains does not take terribly long. Wait a minute, Stravos went to Snow. This is a crucial mistake right here.
Oh no.
He has to
picked the wrong
complete
kingdom,
Snow.
didn't he?
This might cost him the match.
Oh,
He now has to do
no.
any percent Snow in order to get to Seaside, because there's not going to be a change up in goals that he can do to fix this. He has to get those 3 fountains at Seaside. So this is now, this has become a race.
This might have just cost Stravos the match.
Because completing Snow Kingdom takes about 5 minutes on the any percent route. So that sets him back quite a bit.
And then you have a minute and a half for the stuff that he does in Seaside.
Right.
Oh my.
So he might have just made this very close.
What just happened?
Just by one simple menuing error.
So we just realized that Aero might be finishing in Night Metro, and Stravos just made a really big mistake.
Yeah, this could potentially be very close now, depending on how many regional coins exactly Aeroraiser has left, because there is only 27. There's only 27 available in Night Metro, so he needs to make sure that he knows where all of those are.
He has the 150 marked already.
He does.
So he's very close. It could just be the fact that he might just opt to fight Mecha Wiggler anyway.
He might. He might need it for the moons. I'm not sure what his total is at, so he might just be doing it for the moons anyway. Okay, he has 200.
9 Weaving Wooded. I think.
89.
And then the 10 here.
Yeah, he's marked 200. So he already has 200.
Oh my goodness. Are we gonna see a snipe?
I think Aeroraiser is gonna snipe this win.
All he has to do is just collect the 25 in Night Metro. Hopefully he knows where all of them are.
Yeah, because there is only 27 in Night Metro, so he has
This
to have
is
good
very
knowledge.
interesting now. So we have Stravos on the top, who is basically trying to salvage this by trying to complete Snow as fast as he humanly possibly can. And then Aeroraiser's on the bottom here, just getting the last purples that he needs to win.
Yeah,
oh boy.
Picking Snow was truly a devastating mistake here.
Yeah,
it does seem like at this point it's going to cost him the match.
Stravos might still pull through.
The only thing that can save
We know
him,
how speedy.
well,
this
Aeroraiser going to take a death right there, so that goes a long way. That helps. But it all depends on Aeroraiser's knowledge of the regional coins in Night Metro.
Dude, this all of a sudden got very intense. Just flipping the switch.
It's funny because he baited us the entire match. Like neither of us noticed that Column 4 was viable until
I can see the Night
close to
Metro
the end.
finish here.
So he's getting coins. He seems to have at least a decent idea of where these coins are.
I don't think it would have been like faster than like a Snow or Seaside finish, since you still have to collect 100 moons.
Right.
But
he
it's
had to
just
get a lot of
interesting to see
extras.
that the kingdom progression didn't really matter in the end,
Mhm.
because, well, your arrow is in Night Metro. Now, like we mentioned, he still needs to know where all of them are, and this can be tricky,
right.
because...
Which he's kind of going around the long way, but as long as he knows where all the ones in the tower are, I think he might still have this. But Stravos is getting his last moon here, and he does his little snowdram trick successfully. So he's going to be on his way to Seaside, and Aeroraiser's on 1 health. He's going to make sure he doesn't die.
What is this?
I can't believe
all
what I'm seeing.
Stravos has to do now is just collect the fountains. And
He did
Arrow's
grab that
probably
check-
wondering how he still hasn't finished. Well, I guess he's going to find out soon.
So Aero at 5 out of 25 regional coins here. Entering the tower. This is where a large chunk of the regional coins are in Night Metro. So we'll see if he can clean up all the coins in here pretty quickly.
Yeah, this movement in City Hall with the regionals is
It's tough.
really hard. Like to get it nailed down optimally. Like I still haven't figured out like a really good method to collect these regionals super fast.
Yeah.
So like whenever I have to do a night metro finish, I'm always just winging it, which isn't good. Like I should learn something for this.
All right, Stravos coming up on his first cork.
I think Stravos is still gonna pull it.
It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be really
It's impossible
close.
to call at this point.
Oh my god. Like what even?
I think Aeroraiser has missed a couple coins in the tower here. I don't think he got them all.
I
And I
don't
don't think he's
think
gonna
he
have
knows
enough.
where all of them are.
He's not gonna have enough if he doesn't get those. I think Stravos is gonna take this still.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow. That was.
He's
That-
going up to Wiggler. He doesn't know where the coins are, so he's going
He
up to
doesn't
Wiggler.
know. Unfortunate.
And that's
that,
two.
Like that could have potentially been.
Yeah, so like we said, it all comes down to Aeroraiser's knowledge of where those purple coins are, and it looks like they were not, the knowledge wasn't quite there. And Stravos is coming up on uncorking his second out of 3 fountains right now, so
He definitely debated both of us with that potential night metro finish.
for sure.
I did not see that. I was just looking like, yep, this is a snow seaside board. I'm not even gonna bother trying to early finish it.
So yeah, Stravos gonna take this Gushin, ride it all the way over to the Canyon Seal, and that will finish off at the board for him and seal the victory.
Wow. What a game, dude.
That was wild.
That was very close at the end.
So yeah, just from not knowing like what routes they were particularly going for, to kind of a pretty rough late game mistake to getting baited on one of the routes, like that was a very eventful match.
Yeah,
right there.
honestly, him picking snow, honestly, I thought he was a goner.
I did too. I thought that was going to be the end of him, and I
really
still
thought
maintain that if
gonna be the end.
Aeroraiser knew where all those coins were, he would have snuck in and stole that win.
Yeah, like, as soon as I realized that Aeroraiser had a Night Metro finish potentially, that was
Yeah,
spooky.
but hey, that made it a really close match. I couldn't tell when either of them were going to finish.
So,
But
Aero just needs to collect 12 regionals, and that's it. And
Yeah.
there's 12 regionals at the very start of Metro. If he just goes to the
Yeah,
building
up on
the
those
left.
rooftops. Yep.
Yeah, there's 2 right next to the taxi. There's 3. Oh, okay, he's just gonna ignore the 2. Oh wait, no, he already collected them. My
Yeah,
bad.
he got those in night.
Right, because he got them in whatchamacallit, Night Metro. Makes sense.
All right, and now with us we have the victor of this match, Stravos.
Hey there,
So-
Stravos.
Hey.
How close attention did you know what your opponent was doing at any point in time?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna give you the rundown then, because
Yeah,
you
that
went
was...
through a route that neither myself or Agron noticed was possible until he was like almost in Metro. But he had a route that could have finished in Night Metro. All he needed to do was collect 25 regional points, and there 27 exist in Night Metro. And it was right after you selected Snow on accident.
The only thing is like just like caught us off guard, because when I was like routing this board at the beginning of the match, like I didn't even, try and find an early finish, because I'm like, oh, 100 moons, yeah, we're going to snow / seaside, so.
Yeah, I did realize that there was a Metro finish there, like halfway through my routing, because I did pay attention to what
seaside.
he was selecting on the board. But I
Right.
did realize that there was.
Yeah,
I spent time routing it. I was pretty confident that I chose a decent one.
Yeah, we were kind
Uh,
of saying that the whole time that this board has a lot of really viable routes. It's It's a
Yeah.
board that
It
can be kind of hard to
really
pick what you want to
does.
do.
So, would the class like to say my obvious mistake here?
Well,
Well, my
buying
one
all of
tip,
the regional-
Aeroraiser, learn where your regional coins are.
Not only that, yeah, I did have some regional troubles, but more
well,
specifically,
I mean, like with Night
Cascade.
Metro.
Well, yeah, what happened in Cascade that caused you to go for the revisit?
I forgot the sub areas.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we weren't sure at the time when you went for that revisit. We weren't sure if you were necessarily going for that goal or if you just needed extra moons for
Yeah.
100 total.
Yeah,
I
we weren't sure if it was
originally-
even in a route.
I originally wasn't even going to cap. But then
Okay.
when I realized I missed the sub areas, I figured, okay, if I'm revisiting just for those, I might as well hit cap for extra moons towards the 100.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
All right. Yeah.
And it leaves me not have the dude captain. So I know there was a way to get 25 regionals in Night Metro. I had no
Right.
idea where they were. So halfway through looking for regionals, I said, screw it, let's go fight Mecha Wiggler real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
like me and Kerbis were freaking out because we know that that's possible, and it was literally down to like the last minute. Like Stravos was finishing up his fountains, and you had like 13 regionals in City Hall, and we were like, "Wow, if he knows where these are, this could be it."
Yeah, I couldn't figure out where 12 more were. I knew where 3 were, right there at City Hall near Mecha Wiggler. But I didn't
Yeah, that was a
know
crazy
beyond
ending.
I didn't know beyond that, but I knew this was gonna be close.
Well, hey, now
Because-
you at least have your homework for,
Oh,
potentially
yeah,
the next
definitely.
tournament. Learn those regionals. Regionals are huge for bingo,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
on a
I
board
think-
like this.
I think regionals are what got me here. Also, a little because I over routed regionals insanely.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too, a little bit.
That yeah, I
I-
think
Yeah,
everyone
so
has,
something I
has
noticed
one
we-
problem or the other. They either over route or they under route regionals. I tended to
thing
under
is
route
over
regionals
routing.
at first.
I tend to over route them too. Like, I think I would have been fine outside the cap visit,
Yeah.
Right.
but
Yeah, because you marked 200 total before you ever got to Metro, and you had to get the Metro ones anyway. So
Yeah,
obviously,
that's the thing
ideally,
that-
you would have gone into Metro with 175 instead of over
Yep,
200
and
already.
I think I would
Ideally,
have.
yeah.
I think I would have if I had not gotten the 20 or so in cap. But like
Mhm.
I said, I wouldn't have even gone to cap. I would have done Metro Captain Toad. That was what I intended.
Mm,
Okay.
But
Yeah.
knowing I had to revisit, I'm like, oh,
Yeah. So let's see here. Something that I'd like to ask Stravos, was you blitzing like all of your goals early intentional, and then to just do any percent through like Metro and then
Kind
Seaside?
of.
Kind of. I
Uh,
mean, to be honest,
I figured that's what he was doing. Like,
Yeah,
just
there was
20% Metro.
there was a lot of like routing potential there that I saw to just do one kingdom at a time and just do everything soon, you know? I did
it's
like
I mean, like
I
obviously,
confused myself a little
you
bit with
think about
Captain
them.
Toad because I had a good plan where I would get it in Seaside and I would do Seaside and Metro and Cascade,
Hmm.
and those were the ones that I wanted to get. And then I messed up routing for it, and since I remembered the one in Lost, I was like, sure, I'll get the one in Lost. But then I wasted a bunch of time there because
Genuinely surprised that you
Uh,
didn't pick up the one in Cascade.
Yeah,
I did.
The
I think
Cascade and
the-
Seaside
I
ones
did.
would have probably been
Mhm.
best for you on
I
this
did
round.
get the Cascade one.
Oh, he did get the Cascade one. I did
Yeah.
remember
Yeah,
correctly.
he got
I went to Globe and
Yeah.
then I was like, wait a second, and went back and got it.
Right.
So-
Yeah. I knew. Right. Yeah. I knew that happened at some point.
So
I
Stravos,
think-
So my idea
I-
was Cascade, Metro, Seaside would be the quickest way I thought to do it. But then, like, as with a lot of things in my route, I was like, okay, I have the plan, but there's something right here that I remembered. I don't remember why I didn't choose it, so let's just get it now and get it out of the way. And then I got really weird routing mistakes because of that. Like in Metro, the way I also got Captain Toad was really impulsive. I routed it differently in a way that didn't make any sense. And like immediately after, I realized much better route for it.
But at
but-
the same time, I feel like this kind of worked out for you just because you can
It's-
just
yeah.
blitz the kingdoms with any percent.
Yeah.
You know, I
So-
mean, like you're kind of a
yeah.
weird case with this bingo thing because
Yeah.
like
Like-
you're really good at any percent. So like if you get the goals done early, but you still have to go to Seaside, you can just
you just Bush
kingdoms.
through.
And I've
So-
I've spent a lot of work creating like any percent like ways to get a lot of purple coins as well because of my
Yeah.
purple coins routing experience.
Yeah, that can be
and
very
stuff
good.
like that.
Right, yeah. Like I mean, like I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, you were one of the first runners for all purple coins.
Yeah. I don't remember which routing is best for that category itself, but it goes to every purple coin, so it's not the fastest for bingo because you only
Right,
get partial
absolutely
coins
not.
most
But
of the
I mean,
time.
like you can pick out which purples are ideal in
Yeah,
certain
so
situations.
I know where
which
all
is
the
nice.
purples are because of that, so I didn't have to learn that before entering this tournament.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
so-
honestly another like really weird thing with you specifically. Like because usually the thing that people would need to learn with bingo is regionals.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
that's
not
still
really
probably
used
my
in any
weakest point.
category.
Like, I think what got me here was probably the backtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done the cat part and just gotten some moons in Metro.
So, my last question for Stravos is I could sense the panic. I could sense it. What were you thinking when you picked snow? Like, what was going through your head?
I was thinking, okay, is there a way to save and load somehow? And I
Right.
think there might have been if I exited the Odyssey immediately. That might have worked. I don't know.
I think I'm not entirely sure on that.
But I ended up trying to beat the save when I entered snow by pausing. If you saw that,
Yeah.
I didn't think it would work.
But yeah, that's definitely something that can happen in bingo.
After
with
that,
snow and seaside.
like, man,
After-
I was so concentrated on remembering my routing mistakes and fixing them in my head and saying, no, that was stupid. Don't do that ever again. Bad Stravos. I was so concentrated on that while I was waiting to pick the select. I thought there was more dialogue coming. I was ready
Right.
for it. I was just too concentrated to realize that I was already there.
the tip there is to mash B when it's going through the dialogue because it won't
Yeah.
exit you out of the menu, but it also won't select snow.
To be honest, I
mash
thought I
B
was
until you're
pressing
ready.
B, but I was pressing it with my left hand, so it was like an awkward grip on the controller because I was looking over to my right at my PC.
Right.
And yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations to Stravos. He will be moving
Yup.
on to the next round of the Triple Bingo tournament.
Gets the face
Aeroraiser,
guy.
good stuff.
Yep.
Unfortunately, maybe we'll
Unfortunately,
see you
not
for the
this
next
time.
tournament.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, that will be all from us for today. More bingo matches, more world peace matches coming up all weekend long on this channel. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys later.
Pretty packed weekend.
Later.